with the presentation. So a bit about me. I did a bachelor thesis on e-democratic tools used in the Netherlands. So that's why I know a bit about it. But of course, I'm no expert, so be aware. But I will give you as much knowledge as I have as possible. And so first, the setup is as follows. First, I will give a talk for about 15 minutes. Then I have a few questions devised for you guys, which you can discuss in your breakout rooms, which we will then do. And then after 15 minutes, we will come back and have a sort of plenary discussion about it. And yes, if everyone can please just mute, that's the Zoom code of conduct. That's all fine, I think. Yes, so first I have a question for you guys. It is, well, what do you think e-democracy is? And I want to ask you guys to use the link that is provided on the screen to sort of give a few indications of what you think is e-democracy. And so we can have a look at what you guys think. And then I think I can sort of see online what you guys have posted. So I will try that. If anyone, okay, I'll just show the link here still for a few minutes. Does it work for everyone? Or
Steijn, could you paste the link in the group chat?
In the group chat, yes, of course.
Yes.
I will do that. Where do I do that? In the chat, I guess.
Yes, and then message to everyone.
Okay. Yes. Here it is.
Yes. Great. Thanks.
There's still 3 people in the rating room, so maybe they can also join. All right. I want to click this away. Nobody yet seems to have filled in something. Or maybe if I refresh it, then maybe it will pop up. That's probably the reason why. No. Nothing yet. Well, does the link work for everyone, or does it not work? Interesting. Okay, I will try to refresh it again. Maybe that's we will see some things. Ah, there we go. Yes, we have a few things. Online, internet, online voting. Everyone has a vote. Voting systems, very well. Yeah, these are all pretty good associations. See if we maybe have some more already in the meantime. And yes, indeed, interconnectedness, opinion giving, e-voting, fake news. Ah, I like that one. I'm very interested who posted that. Voting. Well, I think we sort of have an idea of what everyone thinks e-democracy is. So I will just continue with my presentation and also relate to the answers you guys have given me. So essentially, e-democracy is using information and communication technologies to promote democracy. And it has been actually, well, become more prominent with the rise of the internet, of course. So with starting about the 80s and 90s, and now governments around the world are using it more widely. And the main assumption behind it is essentially that our representative democracy is not really enough. So we, of course, elect our politicians, and then we hope that they will make good decisions for us. But proponents of e-democracy sort of they want to have a sort of extra way that citizens can influence the decision-making process. So I will just say there are 3 main forms of e-democracy. One is just an information way. The other one is a deliberation way, and the other one is the voting way. And I will just go through them briefly now and give you guys some examples. So information is essentially that it's just a one-way communication stream from governments, for example, to the public. So this is a Dutch example. You see here that this is the website from the government itself, and they use it to make their policy making process a lot more transparent to people, so everyone can understand their policy decisions. But also quite more commonly now that's being used are live streams, for example, of parliamentary debates, which is actually quite, I would say, quite revolutionary in that these things are happening right now, that people can actually watch debates online. But yeah, so the main goal of it is to make it more transparent and to actually also inform people about policies. Then we have a perhaps even more interesting form of e-democracy, which is a deliberative e-democracy. So basically what this entails is that people can deliberate about political issues online. So as you see on the left screen, there's a website of Argue, which I studied for my bachelor. And what it does is it allows people to debate online political issues on the national level, like, for example, in the Netherlands, should we abolish the royal family? But they can also participate in issues on the local level. So, for example, there's a municipality saying, we have an asylum seeker center that we want to place somewhere. And then they can ask citizens of the municipality to give their opinions and deliberate on this, which is, yeah, I think quite interesting. But also it's being employed on the EU level. So the European Commission, for example, is using a lot of online consultations when they make their policies, because they sort of, because they're not directly elected by the people, they want to get as much as information from people as possible. So that's why they conduct online consultations, which I know if you guys probably some of you guys not even notice. Of course, it's very interesting to know when do they use these online consultations and for which policy issues, which can have some political motives perhaps behind it. And there's also Facebook. So Facebook can, as also said, Facebook, I think it's a deliberative platform where people discuss issues, but it's also very prominently used, for example, when social movements arose, for example, in the Arab Spring. These platforms were used a lot to sort of get supporters for promoting democracy, actually, essentially, for overthrowing governments, which I think is quite an interesting phenomenon. And then you also have voting. So voting is just that people can actually influence decision-making process even more. They can vote for things, and then those things actually have to be implemented. So, for example, in Amsterdam, sorry, giving another Dutch example, but in Amsterdam, we have a website called the Stem van West, which means the voice of the West. And it's the Dutch City Council of Amsterdam West. What they do is they have a budget of about 300,000 euros. And they say to their citizens, okay, guys, you know what? You can just spend this money on plans that you like to be realized. So people can post ideas they have, and then other people can upvote on it. And the ideas that get the most votes will be implemented probably for policy, which is, I think, quite cool. And also, countries have been experimenting with e-voting, as you guys, some of you said, voting in the thing. So, for example, Estonia has been using it for voting in their national parliament, for their national elections, which is, but in other countries it hasn't been used as much. But it's an interesting phenomenon. So I would say to relate it back to the title of e-democracy, is it a friend or is it a foe of democracy? I would say there are some potential benefits of e-democracy. So, for example, it can make the policy-making process more transparent. And it can, of course, also allow for more participation, as you guys said, because there's internet, there's free and, well, more free and equal ways that people can communicate, and especially for young people who may like to engage in politics more through online mediums than, for example, by going to a citizen assembly. But on the other hand, there's also the ideal of e-democracy might not be fully realized, because as I also saw in my bachelor thesis, there's not always a substantial increase in political participation. So, for example, with the website Argue, some municipalities noticed that a lot of people joined these platforms, but some municipalities also noticed that many didn't, and that can be because still a lack of interest maybe, and people don't like to engage online, which are some problems. and also skewed participation. So what I also noticed in my bachelor thesis is that there were a lot of people, like, for example, intellectual, politically engaged people who primarily use these platforms, the people that already engage in politics. So you can have a bit of unrepresentative thing on these platforms. And also, the input is not always considered by governmental actors. So there was a United Nations survey done in 2017, and they sort of asked their member states, the countries that are a part of it, do you think that e-democracy, the input from e-democracy, is significantly influencing your policymaking process? And it was like only 20% of it said like, yeah, we really consider these input. So that is also a bit of a downside. Of course, coming from the assumption that public participation is good, but yes, I hope you guys are in favor of it. So I have some questions for you guys, because I think my part is pretty much done. I hope this was a nice small introduction to the topic. And these are some questions that I have posted for you guys, which I hope you guys will discuss in these breakout rooms, which I hope will be set up soon. I will just shortly give an explanation of the questions. So I want you guys to think of 2 other benefits and 2 other disadvantages that can arise from e-democracy. So I didn't give everything away, so I hope you guys can also come up with something. Maybe also think of a potential solution, think of other ways we can use the internet for democratic purposes. And then I also want you to think of guys with the question, okay, do you think e-democracy will democratize our society? And maybe also throughout your discussion, use some examples that you are familiar with. Perhaps you already know some other platforms where you're from. So I'll be very happy to hear about these things, and then we can discuss that in a plenary discussion after the breakout rooms. So I hope everything is sort of clear. And I hope also that the breakout rooms then will be set up right now. They can just be like in 3 or 4 groups, and then everyone can engage in a debate.